Q8 pilot videos are powered by Virtual Fly. Hello there friends and followers, and welcome to this Explain 11 video. Today we're going to be taking a look at version 3 of the Piper Cherokee 140 by vFlyeAir, which has been recently updated and is available on the Explain.org store. I'm happy to report that this version 3 update is a free update for owners of the Piper 140 by vFlyeAir. We are currently situated at Albuquerque International Airport in the United States. This scenery is a payware scenery by Short Final or Mr. 6X, a beautiful rendition of the airport, highly recommended scenery, and the link to it will be provided in the description section of the video. So without further ado, let's get started and let's take a look at the Piper 140 by vFlyeAir. The Piper Cherokee 140 by vFlyeAir has been modeled to look exactly like the real aircraft. The texture work and the 3D modeling is of outstanding quality. Version 3 of the Piper 140 has been upgraded to take advantage of the latest available technologies in Explain 11, including the flight model and PBR. It also has Avidyne plugin integration, X checklist, and has new rain effect for increased immersion. The interior 3D modeling and the texture work by vFlyteAir of this Piper 140 3D cockpit is simply superb. Everything you see here is an exact match to the real aircraft, and they have added a few touches here for increased immersion and to give the aircraft the old look. As you can see here, the dirt on the panel, and if we look at the overhead panel, you can see all the rust and all the scratches here, really giving the aircraft a very realistic look to match the real aircraft. Everything has been done with a lot of care and a lot of attention to detail. All the texture work here on the door panel, the seats, the flooring area, everything, the knobs, the switches, the key here, the throttle, and if we look at the yoke, at the flight yoke, look at that. Really lovely details, really to bring this aircraft to life. And it has got a lot of features. So the first feature that we can immediately see is the Avidyne plugin integration, which is great. Also, you can access the aircraft's weight and balance and a few options by clicking here, as you can see. And you've got some transponder codes here if you're flying in the US or in Europe, which is really good. To change the fuel, you can simply slide those sliders here. You can add or remove the fairings for your wheels, and you can add a pilot here. So if we click this guy here, you'll have a pilot, and if you don't want the pilot, you can click here again. So again, really nice touches in terms of integration. Now, the one thing I really like, now this aircraft is a VFR aircraft. It's intended for VFR flying, and you'll get a lot more enjoyment flying at VFR. However, for those of you who prefer to have an autopilot, you can just simply go here and click on this panel, and now you have a GPS device with a fully functional autopilot that you can use. For the purposes of our flight today and testing out the aircraft, we're just going to use the original VFR equipment on board the aircraft. What we're going to do now is start the aircraft from its cold and dark state, take it for a short flight around Albuquerque International, and bring it back and land. For those of you, by the way, who are looking for an extra challenge, you will appreciate the fact that the circuit breakers are modeled on this aircraft for increased realism. Now, there is an integration with X checklist according to the aircraft description on the Explain.org store. I, however, could not find this checklist. I do have X checklist installed, but for some reason it's not there. So hopefully either the developer or someone in the community will create the checklist for this aircraft. So what we're going to do is we're going to close the door and lock it. Let's remove the yoke here. Battery is on, rotating beacon is on, and let's see here. Fuel is on the left tank, mixture on full rich. We're going to crack the throttle just a little bit, and we're going to start the aircraft. Let's see here. Magneto switches on both. and starter switch. There we go, we have a good start. Now we'll bring it to about 1000 RPM. Let's lean the mixture a bit. There we go. And nav lights are on, and everything else is looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and turn on our avionics. I absolutely love this aircraft. Okay, standby. VFR in the US, transponder code 1200, and everything is looking good for our taxi. We'll bring back the yokes now, and let's head over to the runway and depart. In this video, I am using the Yoko flight yoke for the very first time in my videos, and it is probably going to be now the de facto standard flight yoke I use in all my videos. It's a great flight yoke. It definitely brings in a lot of immersion to the flying experience in both P3D and X-Plane. It is a very well built unit. It's all metal construction. It definitely does bring a lot of immersion to the flying experience. I've been testing out the unit for a week now, and let me tell you, it has definitely changed my experience, at least in both P3D and X-Plane, for both airliners and general aviation aircraft. The unit itself is very simple, and simply because it hasn't been designed as an all flight control, it has instead been designed to sit as a flight yoke only and to be coupled with other equipment to build the entire home cockpit, if you will. It wasn't originally, the intent wasn't originally for home use, but the product has been later modified to fit those home users as well. I'm not going to be doing a specific review of the aircraft, since the Q8 pilot videos are now powered by Virtual Fly, but I'm going to link a review done by my very good friend Paul, or Squirrel. He's done a phenomenal review on the product. I agree with all his counts, and his review is quite detailed, so I'm going to link it in the description of the video. Alright, we're approaching the runway now. Let's go ahead and turn on the strobes, landing light, and mixture on full rich. Bring back the yoke, and we're ready to go now. I really love the F-mod sounds on this aircraft. And by the way, the flight model has been tweaked as well to both take advantage of the X-Plane 11 technology and make the aircraft fly as close as the real thing. Alright, we are ready to go. Let's give it full power. Alright, and there we go. Bit of a rough takeoff there. Some wind there and some turbulence. Now, I have contacted a very good friend of mine who lives in California, who happens to be a flight instructor and has a lot of experience with the Piper 28-140, who happens to also be an X-Plane fan, and I've asked him to try this aircraft out and let me know what his thoughts were. And he told me that this aircraft flies about 98% like the real aircraft. So the limitations of the flight sim account for only about 2%. But this is a true rendition of the aircraft. It flies like the real aircraft. The performance and everything else really is done to a very fine detail as far as the flight model is concerned, and how the aircraft handles, and all the performance data that he tested out. So if you're a fan of general aviation aircraft, this aircraft is a must-have. And let me tell you, just from experience, if you like GA aircraft and you like to fly VFR, you will get a lot of enjoyment flying this Piper. An absolutely amazing aircraft, both in terms of the flight model, in terms of the features, the new features that has been integrated into it. Let me remove this here. Before we begin performing a few of our tests, such as the stall test and doing a few maneuvers with the aircraft, let's go ahead and take a look at the autopilot. So again, fully functional autopilot here. And there we go. Let's see here. There we go. Autopilot is now on. Heading select and altitude. And now the aircraft has a fully functional autopilot, as you can see here. With all the frequencies and a GPS device that you can use now and enter your flight plan just like you normally do on any GPS device. Of course, this is the default X-Plane 11 device. Right, let's watch our speed here. Alright, next up, let's go ahead and stall the aircraft, and what we're going to do is we're going to bring the power to idle and pitch up. So let's do that. We're going to pitch up and bring the power to idle. There we go. All right. Some power. Bring the nose back up. All right, let's do a few maneuvers. We're gonna do a left turn with left rudder. And a right turn with right rudder. Let me tell you guys, this aircraft is immense fun and joy to fly. If you like general aviation aircraft, this aircraft is one that I highly recommend. It's just under $25, about $24.95 I believe is the price. Now, when I originally purchased this aircraft, I purchased the bundle. So I had the Piper 140 original and classic. The difference between the two is pretty subtle in terms of the flight model. But let me tell you, this aircraft is brilliant. And by account of real-world pilots who have tested this aircraft, by the way, and a flight instructor who is very experienced in this aircraft, by all accounts of those people, this aircraft flies very close to the real thing, almost 98% to the real thing. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to head back to Albuquerque and land the aircraft. We are on final Albuquerque International, and as you can see, there is a lot of turbulence here as we approach the airport, but that should add to the fun of flying the aircraft. So we're going to leave things the way they are. I actually thought about just disabling weather completely, but that wouldn't be fun now, would it? So here we go. Let's set our flaps for arrival. And the weather is just terrible. We're a bit too high. Right, here we go. very strong crosswind there, but we've made it safely, finally. Alright, let's give it some brakes here. And welcome back to Albuquerque International, folks. We're just going to make a right turn here, and we're going to bring the aircraft to a complete stop. And we're going to take a look at the landing. As some of you have indicated that they'd like to see always the replays, so that's what we're going to do. Let me tell you, that landing was really fun. It wasn't a perfect landing by any standards, but it was a lot of fun with all this turbulence and this aircraft. Very, very immersive indeed. Well folks, I really had a lot of fun making this video today. I really enjoyed flying this aircraft. Definitely a must-have in the general aviation category. Many thanks to vFlyeAir for making version 3 a free update to the aircraft for existing owners of the aircraft. If you don't already own the aircraft, it's going to set you back just under $25, about $24.95 or so. Again, if you like general aviation, if you're a VFR flyer, this aircraft is a must-have. I can vouch for this aircraft. You will not be disappointed. It does get my full mark at 10 out of 10 for an aircraft in this category and price range, and I definitely give it my full endorsement. Well folks, I hope that you have enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it for you. Until next time, please take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you all very soon. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye for now.